What is going on, folks? It is Dr. Remy LeBeau, and I'm coming at you once again from the X-Lair to give you my deep and insightful thoughts into a glorious event. We finally got the trailer for X-Men 98. Oh boy, my costume's falling apart. And yes, I am attempting to pretend to be trying to give an effort in representing in the most minuscule and, just Party City kind of way, Gambitino. My namesake, Dr. Remy LeBeau. Hello. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Perhaps. Probably. Hey, Shay, I do not know, but maybe perhaps you want to be a part of this video with me and this hair because it is fully charged with some Cajun spice for you. Hey, 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 you want to be with this wild and crazy guy? This is no way Gambit. I mean, this is like the worst Gambit ever. I'm not here to do Gambit. I'm here to tell you about how I feel and my theories about what may be coming with this glorious trailer that we got to watch today. Probably more times than anyone should watch a trailer for X-Men 97. My God, X-Men 97 is finally coming. Not only is the trailer here, it's coming like next month. Okay, it's not like it's coming in June of 2025 or some bullshit. It's like, no, fucking within a month we're gonna see the actual cartoon. And I know people are like, it's just a cartoon. What's the deal? Well, let me tell you about this cartoon. Okay, let me tell you about this cartoon. Okay, it was enormous. It was the biggest cartoon of the 90s. It was. It aired on Saturday mornings, it was like 7 a.m. or some ridiculous thing. And it became a ritual for everybody, because it was so good. It was so good. And the thing about it is it's not silly. Maybe there's some joking here and there because characters have personality, but it's serious, right? The whole thing about the X-Men, it's an allegory for marginalized groups that are being persecuted by, all sorts of other groups. And there's some real heart-wrenching, deep, socially impactful themes that are constantly at play, and they did not skirt away from that in the original what is it, five season show. It was sort of 5 seasons. It was really 4 seasons, but the 5th season was sort of this add-on thing, and the animation is different, but it doesn't matter. The point is that the show was serious and it took itself seriously, and I think that's part of why people loved it so much, because there was so much that people could identify with on various levels due to the variety of circumstances they might be facing, on top of the fact that it's just really cool, superhero fare. So there's something really special about the X-Men. There always has been, there always will be, and it's undeniable, and that's why it has such a huge fan following, and that's why ultimately it led to the movies, the X-Men movies. They wouldn't have made those movies had that cartoon not been big, because the comic book was big, but the cartoon really is what made it something that the masses, the sort of zeitgeist incorporated, at least for the era, and then that kind of continued on. But then eventually what happened was, and this is the most unfortunate aspect of this whole thing, Disney bought Marvel. The minute they did, they started to sabotage the X-Men. They started to sabotage the IP because they didn't own the film rights. So they didn't want to promote a competitor's product, basically. They could make money off of merchandise or whatnot, but they couldn't make money off of the actual films. The license had already been sold off. And I don't believe it was a profit sharing type of contract. It was you paid this amount for these characters to be used in perpetuity as long as you meet certain contractual conditions. And that's what happened. Fox took the movies, the movie rights, made movies, made money, blah, 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 blah. Marvel didn't. But then it was owned by a corporation when Disney bought them. And so what did Disney do? Well, they just put the guillotine to the X-Men. That's why there's a whole generation of people that don't know anything about X-Men. Now Disney bought Fox. They bought this license back. Now they're trying to make it a thing again. It looks like it might succeed, but they have a lot of work to do to really bring the younger generations up to speed on why these characters matter, on why they're probably some of the best characters ever created in the history of characters. And I think they're going to do it with this cartoon. I think this cartoon is the first step. I think we all saw the Deadpool 3 trailer, which looks pretty cool. That's going to be the next step. There was a teaser, obviously, at the end of the Marvels for Beast, but nobody cared because nobody knows about Beast. At least most people that aren't like hardcore fans like us. And so there are things happening, but nonetheless, like, they're digging themselves out of a grave that they put themselves in. And it's unforgivable. Like, I've been a fan all these years. I've been seeing it happen, and it's been a tumultuous experience, to say the least. Things are now looking up, though. We'll see what happens. I'm a fan. I mean, they got me. I mean, look what I'm wearing here, for God's sake. Look at my room. Look at this place. Look at my channel, for God's sake. Look at my Instagram. Like, look at my life. Look at my life, Jerry. That's George, the X-Men fan, coming out of me. All right, look. There's there's hope, okay? And part of that hope is Bo DeMaio, the showrunner for this show, a hardcore X-Men fan. Clearly, he knows what he's doing. He's brought him along with the original team, the Leewalds, I believe is Julia, and I forget the name of the guy, and then, of course, Larry Houston. These are all people that are like legends in the animation business, in the business of superhero animation, and they have been brought back to be part of this. Since the X-Men cartoon aired, we've had great stories in the comics, so there's a lot to cull, just to really kind of cultivate and bring to the screen and continue the cartoon. And so everything looks like it's going to be working, but until you see something, you don't know. But then we saw this today, and it's like, it's going to work. Like, it's going to work. This works beyond yes, like, definitely this is exactly what it needed to be. It looks perfect, like, it's exactly what it was before, but it's like finally streamlined. Like, I always knew as a kid, it's like, why does this have to look all janky? Like, clearly they were saving money on the backdrops. Like, everything was kind of like grainy and like not completely drawn out. There were moments like when the third season came around and you had like the Dark Phoenix and some like the two opening episodes which introduced kind of a Shi'ar element. Those were actually aired in prime time, and the animation was clearly better than it ever had been before. And then you had the Phoenix and the Dark Phoenix saga in season 3, which is the pinnacle of that show. Like, the animation was fantastic. Everything was great about it. But nonetheless, like, it still wasn't up to the standard that it could have been for that show. And now it is beyond that standard. It is polished, but it is still that show. And that's what I love about what I saw today. It was like, it looks phenomenal. And it has such a great contrast between this beginning segment of like, let's show the last moments of the last episode, and then let's jump into like the new stuff. This great contrast of like, here's the old and here's the new. Look at this. Shiny, glossy, amazing, money, expensive, just wonderful. But at the same time, great stories, great action, great characters, great characterizations. Like, this teased that, but I'm pretty confident that it's going to follow through with that because, I mean, come on. Anyway, I woke up this morning. I couldn't believe, because I woke up, I went on Twitter. I saw Lenore Zan, who is the voice actress for Rogue. She had posted this, and I was like, what is this? This looks, because it was it's like the opening with the original footage, so it was like, oh, is she like posting like a clip from the first original show? Like, okay, cool, whatever. I start playing, I'm like, oh my god, this is the trailer. This is the trailer I've been looking for, because in my mind over the last like month or two, since the turn of the year, I was like, aren't we supposed to be getting this in like March? So there should be a trailer coming soon. And then I kept thinking to myself, can you believe it? There's going to be a moment where I'm going to watch a trailer for the show. Like, I kept thinking that, And then this morning, like, all of a sudden I was watching the trailer. I was like, wait a minute, this is actually the trailer. And of course, immediately in love, gushing. My eyes were fucking bleeding water. Just just Niagara Falls coming from my eyes. My eyeballs almost like washed out of my face. That's how much water was falling out of my eyes. And then of course I watched it a million times over on the old tele. Watched it, kept watching it. Every time I got this rush of endorphins. And I still do. I still did right before I watch it now. Before I started shooting this, I got that rush of endorphins. It's beyond wonderful. I am so happy with this. It's just like, it's just been such a long road to get here, you know? I mean, if you look on my channel, there is that video where I'm like beyond ecstatic, borderline, just completely crazy and nuts, celebrating the fact that Disney bought Marvel, because I knew that they were going to do stuff like this. And then I remember when they put the X-Men cartoon on Disney Plus. Like, I remember when that happened, and I know without a doubt that people immediately started watching it, because like I remember people on Twitter talking about it, like the X-Men cartoons on, you know, the Disney people were like, look at how many people are watching this show. They're like, we need more of this. So you know right away they're like, let's get this going. Come on, we got to get this going. This got to work. And they did exactly right. They brought the old creatives in. They brought this great new talent pool in. They made it happen in the way that you would expect Disney to make something happen, right? It's like, we've got something that works. We're going to make it work. And it looks like they did. And I'm beyond ecstatic about it. I cannot wait to see like the actual show. And I know that Bo DeMaio, the showrunner, I follow him on social media, he's been posting that he's writing season 2. Like, we're at least getting 2 seasons. Like, this trailer has gotten like over 4 million views just so far today. And it dropped this morning. Like, people are interested in this. So I have a feeling things are going to go very well for X-Men, for X-Men fans, and eventually the movies and more comic stuff, and like it's all coming together so wonderfully. And me and like all these other people that I am connected to online, I've never met most of them, but like there's so many of these other hardcore X-Men fans online, and we're all sort of connected via social media. And like, I know this is what we've all been waiting for, like all this time, like knowing what has been happening behind the scenes, knowing the ups and downs of like trying to like just be okay with what's been happening while just enjoying the minuscule droplets of joy that were coming from, you know, the comics every now and then, and like, you know, maybe merchandise every now and then or whatever. Like, now the floodgates have been opening. They're about to just like wash us out into the sea of satisfaction that we have been wanting to swim in for a very long time. The only thing that is a drawback for me is the fact that in order to kind of have like this synergy between what they're doing here, what they're probably going to do in the MCU, and the comics, like they're going to have to get rid of Krakoa, you know, the mutant nation, where that has been, and those were the first stories that sort of started happening after Disney bought Marvel, and they really kind of revolutionized, once again, reinvigorated the comic base, the fan base, the popularity of them, at least within the comic community. But now, because it's so far gone from the status quo of being in the mansion and like doing all sorts of things from the mansion, like they're getting rid of it in the comics, and it's hard because it's been one of my favorite things since 2019. Like, reading comics that take place in the Krakoan era is just beyond satisfying. It's so innovative. It's so the next natural step to the storytelling of the mutants. You know, all the mutants finally come together. They have a nation. They start to form these circuits, meaning that they work together, and they amplify the effects of their powers by combining them. You know, ultimately leading to the pinnacle of their existence, which is to terraform Mars, make it livable, make it a mutant planet. Like, everything that's happened has been so wonderful, because up until that point, at least for like almost 10 years, like Disney was sabotaging the comics. They were instructing Marvel to sabotage the comics. The comics were fine, but they were not good. They were fine, but they were not good. Then they finally got good. they're not going to be bad moving forward once Krakoa's done, which is happening right now. It should be done by the summer. But it's just not going to be what it was. I know it's still going to be good, whatever it's going to be, but it's just not going to be Krakoa, which I beyond love. But, I mean, maybe they'll bring it back somehow. I feel like we're going to see it, though, in other media. I remember Jerry Duggan, the current kind of big writer, one of the big writers on the X-Men books. He's writing the main X-Men book, the title, the flagship book. He mentioned that Krakoa, we were going to see Krakoa in other mediums, which means either cartoons or in live action. In live action, we've got a multiverse. Deadpool is going to be jumping through universes. In my mind, I'm thinking, are we going to jump into a universe where we see Krakoa in Deadpool? Maybe they won't make a whole movie, but maybe we'll get like a 10-minute scene in the Krakoan world, you know? I mean, how amazing would that be, right? I mean, it would be beyond amazing. What would you need? You would need the island. You would need some mutants kind of living there. Maybe like like an extreme bird's eye view shot of like the society. You know, a lot of CGI there, and then, you know, maybe some of the gates and like a little bit of the elements via the characters kind of exposition. And that's all you would need, really. I can see a House of M. Anyway, I'm not going to get into all this, but there are possibilities. And if we don't see it there, maybe we'll see it in the cartoon. You know, maybe in the cartoon they will form a Krakoa. You know, maybe that is the next stage. You know, maybe Xavier kind of figures things out when he's like, you know, being cured by the Shi'ar. Because at the end of season 5, like, he was dying. And then what happened? The Shi'ar, Lilandra, the head of this intergalactic empire, who's in love with him, comes to pick him up and is like, we can save him, but not here. We have to do it in our world. So they take him away. And that leads me to the trailer. I heard a lot of people talking about like the casket, or I thought Xavier was, you know, had left Earth to be cured or whatever. Like, why are we seeing a casket? It's like, hey guys, hey everyone, hey, what if it's not him? What if it's somebody else? Remember, Morph was killed in the first episode of season 1 to establish the stakes. What if somebody else is getting killed? Huh? What if that is the funeral of somebody else? We don't see a funeral. We just see a casket being lowered down to the ground. Hello? Does it have to be Xavier? No, it doesn't. And that's that. Or maybe like Magneto, because Magneto comes in at the end. He's like, oh, I've got the will and testament of Xavier. He left everything to me. Like, maybe like he needs a funeral to legally establish ownership of things. He needs there to be some sort of clear indication that Xavier is dead, at least in terms of the law, so that he can then inherit things as the will intended, right? Because if Xavier's still alive, then he wouldn't get everything in the will, you know? Like, so there's maybe something like that going on. Like, there's a lot of possibilities. So we can't just jump to conclusions like, oh, Xavier's actually dead and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, he's not dead, man. He left Earth. Okay, this is a continuation of that show. I mean, what have they been doing up until this glorious week where now they're actually showing us footage and having actual teasers? Like, they had the final image from the final episode of season 5 with all the X-Men kind of looking up into the sky, and it's like they're like standing in a row, and it just said to be continued, right? So it's continuing from that. They're not going to retcon anything. They're not going to do that, because if they are, then they're just doing a different show. And then if you are, then just do a different show. But they're not. They're continuing that show. Why? Again, because I know the Disney Plus ratings told Disney to like, get this show back on the air. We need this show. We need the ratings. We need people to watch. The more people watch, the more likely it is they will not unsubscribe from Disney Plus, and that's very valuable to them. Very valuable to them. All right, so let's look at some of the trailer and see if we can find some of. Okay, so that's where it is. Okay, so this is again the beginning. Let me see. Okay, so this is the beginning. We still have like And there's that final shot from season 6. And come on, Marvel animation. Like, it's so gorgeous. It's like the quality is just beautiful, right? It's just gorgeous. Like just the logo, just the logo is just like, there's so much reverence to what's being done, right? It's like, it's not bullshit, it's not like some shitty like Fox Kids bullshit. This is like Marvel Animation, this is Marvel Studios, this is Kevin Feige, this is the MCU, this is like everything that's made Marvel like what it is today in terms of the masses. This is a reflection of all of it. So the quality is there. So we immediately see this like city, and I'm thinking to me it looked like Madripoor. Madripoor is that sort of like lawless island somewhere, I think in Singapore, or like it's in the east. Like we saw it in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That's what this looks like. It doesn't look like the New York skyline. It doesn't look like Manhattan, but it could be Manhattan. It could be a version of Manhattan, whatever. But like, okay, so we're establishing that like, this shit's going to be dark, right? It's going to be night. It's going to be dark. Like this shit ain't going to be happy all the time. Like it ain't happy. Like mutants are being hunted, like there's problems in this world. Okay, so here we see Callisto and Leech, right? Two of the Morlocks. Morlocks are mutants that don't necessarily fit in with the mainstream, so they live underground in the sewers, right? So it looks like they're being hunted or whatever. Then we see the Daily Bugle. Okay, this is really cool because there's a couple of things that are important to note here. One is Spider-Man a mutant, page 10. Spider-Man is in this world because we've seen a crossover with Spider-Man. And that's the Spider-Man from the 90s cartoon. I mean, how cool would it be for them to actually continue that cartoon? That cartoon is fantastic. There's a lot of filler in that cartoon, but when it got serious, okay? That was a good show, and I've enjoyed watching it all these years. I usually watch these things right before I go to bed because it's just the perfect kind of edge taker offer. Just like take the edge off the day, take me to bed, take me to bedtime. Okay, Hellfire Gala. Okay, text by Eddie Brock. Hello, Venom. Photos by Peter Parker. Hellfire Gala, okay? Hellfire Gala. Hi. Hellfire Gala. I don't know if you've... Okay, Hellfire Gala, okay? And then, like, the main picture is about, like, Inside Scoop Mutant Fashion Show. You got, I think we've got Dust in there, who's, like, one of Grant Morrison's creations. We've got Banshee. I believe this is Jumbo Carnation, who is the main... designer, and then this is a Maggot. It's very 90s, like he's got some maggots instead of intestines, and they're his people, they're his minions, and anyway, it's anyway. So we got some Easter eggs here. What does this mean? Are we going to see a Hellfire Gala? Maybe. That means that we know that Emma Frost, we know the Hellfire Club exists because we saw them all in the Dark Phoenix saga, but we never saw them again in the show. But Emma Frost in the comics, and then throughout other iterations, eventually joins the X-Men. Like she starts her own school of mutants that's affiliated with Xavier. That's where Generation X is formed. That's another team of young mutants after the New Mutants that were created in the 80s. Generation X was the team created in the 90s. And then, there was like new X-Men in the 2000s. So there's always been like a new generation of mutants being created. She was part of creating one of those schools. And then that kind of got her onto the good side of things. And then she eventually joined the X-Men. Then Jean dies. And then she winds up hooking up with Cyclops, and then they're sort of like in charge of the X-Men, and then Jean eventually comes back, and blah 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 blah. It's just 1,000 things I can talk about. I'm not going to. The video is already probably longer than you expected, but it's going to be even longer than anyone expected. I want it to be because this is the joy of my life talking about this stuff. This is a great moment for me. Let me have it. Let me have it, people. All right. So this is some Easter eggs. Hellfire Gala, it's just the big to-do with mutants. Everybody gets dressed up. Jumbo Carnation, like, you know, designs a bunch of really kind of in vogue couture, like cutting edge artistic fashion choices for our mutants, and it's all very cool and chic, and they've done it 3 times since the Krakoan era has started. Every Hellfire Gala coincided with a big event. The first one was the terraforming of Mars. The second one was the revealing that mutants have been able to resurrect themselves. They've created a mutant circuit that can resurrect mutants. They have a way of backing up mutant DNA and consciousness, and then bring them back to life. So that was the second one, and so the world found out about that. They didn't know about that initially, and then the third one was the one that just happened, which is like the evil organization Orcus, which is like an amalgam of all the evil organizations of the world that hate mutants, took down Krakoa, like killed a lot of people. It was a bloodbath. It was beyond beautiful, but it was heart-wrenching and traumatic, and I'll never get over it. But I loved it, every second of it. And the fashions. Anyway, so Hellfire Gala, maybe they'll do a Hellfire Gala. I think they probably will. Bo DeMaio is gay, so I have faith that Bo is going to give us a little bit of fashion goodness up in the X lives of our characters. Okay, so then we get some flashes of some of our, like Xavier's dead, and like Cyclops is saying some stuff, and okay, we got the Friends of Humanity and People Against Mutants. Okay, very much establishing the milieu of what we're doing, drawing parallels with certain aspects of our society today. I'm not going to go into that. Okay. All right, and then there's our mansion, and then, okay, so then this temple, I don't know what this is. I'm thinking it's the future, because Bishop is in this, okay? The last time we saw Bishop, he was kind of lost in time, because he's a time traveler. I'm thinking this is the future. Like, this is not some dystopic future. This is like an ideal future where, like, mutants probably have, like, persevered, and the 2 big dreamers of the past era are being celebrated, and this is some sort of temple, maybe this is like a House of M type of thing where mutants have like rule. Maybe there's like a palace for mutants, because then later we see another shot with a bunch of fireworks and whatnot. Those have got to be from the same episode. I'm thinking this is a Bishop future. He got to a future where things actually worked out, because in the cartoon, Bishop's future was always screwed up, and he was always coming back trying to fix it, and then he would go back, and then something else was broken. So I'm thinking maybe this is a future where things actually worked out. So that's kind of cool to think about. People are saying, I heard Power of X-Men talk about it as being like the Savage Land. I mean, I don't really think so, but maybe. And what is this? That's a bird there. I think it's just a bird flying around. I don't think it's any significance. It's just more for like kind of ambiance. Of course, then we finally see our mutants in the plane, which is very exciting. A little bug buzzed by me to remind me that I'm wearing some synthetic hair. That's probably delicious for people. Dude, Wolverine's looking fantastic. Cyclops is just everything I've ever wanted Cyclops to be again, because he's been highly disrespected all these years. This is the first time we're seeing Cyclops once again being respected outside of the comics in the way that he should be, because he deserves it. Okay, so this March, fantastic. That's next month. I mean, glory, hallelujah, you know what I'm saying? Beautiful shots. Everything looks gorgeous. Storm, I mean, come on, dude. Like, you gotta showcase powers, like, in such a glorious way. I mean, this is like, Storm is power, okay? She is power, okay? She has been celebrated in X-Men Red, which is the book that takes place in Mars, which they call Araco, which is like the mutant planet, basically. And she's like the regent of it. She's like the head sort of caretaker of it, basically. She's not a ruler, but she's more of a caretaker. And she's been treated very well in the comics recently. I have a feeling she's going to be treated very well in the show as well. I mean, this is a celebration of what she is right here, and it's just beyond delicious. We see some Cyclops and Jean love. Jean is pregnant with Cable. I know it's people are mentioning, I heard Power of X-Men mentioning that Madeline Pryor is supposed to be in this. Madeline Pryor is a clone of Jean that Sinister created, that Cyclops hooked up with when Jean died after the Dark Phoenix saga, before it was retcon for her to actually be alive. And yeah, and then she winds up being like the Goblin Queen, and it's this whole mess. I never liked her. I know people are like, how can you leave his wife? And there's so many like Madeline Pryor stands, and I'm just like, I don't care about Madeline Pryor. I never have. She's a Goblin Queen to me. Get rid of her. She's evil. Get out. I know people love her. I don't know why. And I don't care why. I mean, I do care why. Everybody has a right to care about things that they care about that makes no sense to people that care about things that do make sense about. I'm just kidding, guys. I'm just jabbing your rib, jabbing the old rib, giving you the old elbow, just for kicks. I respect your respect of Madeline Pryor. No, I don't. I don't respect it. I do respect it. Okay, so yeah, Madeline Pryor. So people are speculating that Madeline Pryor is maybe pregnant, or no, it couldn't be her. But this is the thing, okay? Jean did pretend die for a while in the show, and then Cyclops did leave the X-Men, at least in one episode that came a lot later that should have happened earlier. They need to put this in chronological order on Disney Plus, because that episode needs to go right after the I'm pulling out synthetic hairs, hilarious. That episode needs to go right after the death of Phoenix in the Dark Phoenix. Well, she goes into the sun in the show, so it's not like she actually died, but it sort of seemed like she died, but it wasn't like she actually died. Anyway, okay, look. I don't know if it's Madeline Pryor. All I know is that Jean is pregnant. It's probably Cable. Hallelujah. Because we never got that resolved in the cartoon. Like later on, like I think in season 4, during this weird crossover that had to do with Apocalypse and Time, Beyond Good and Evil, it was wacky. It was not something from the comics. It was them making something up, and it just didn't quite work. Not for me anyway. Maybe some people like it for the nostalgia reasons. I never really liked it, but it's cool to watch. I just never really liked it. So Jean looks inside of Cable's mind and sees that he is Cyclops and her kid. So Jean knows it, but she never tells Cyclops, and it was never addressed in the show. So clearly it's going to be addressed here, which is good, because great, please, happen, now, yesterday. This is the only Rogue we get, played by Lenore Zahn, who is the original voice actress. Looking forward to seeing what happens with Rogue. I like that she's still a little bit sassy, a little bit country. It's all very wonderful. Okay, so let me see. What do we got here? We got some kissing. We got some, Sentinels. And then this is what everybody's been talking about. Freaking Gambit running onto the back of Wolverine, charging Wolverine's skeleton. Okay? I didn't realize this was happening until like my 20th viewing. Like, at first I was just like, ooh, really cool effects. Like, just kind of like, ooh, they've powered, look, they're together. Look how cool it is. Psh, lights. Just to kind of, okay, so it's an artistic movement. It has to do with expressing the internal condition externally. Expressionism. It's an expressionistic sort of moment of the show where it's like, ooh, cool. Two of the coolest characters are together, and look how cool it is. And then eventually I realized, holy shit, Gambit charged Wolverine's skeleton. I mean, how cool is that? This is like one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my life. I just want it to be very clear. This moment is one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my life. Okay? In my life. Okay. I hope I made that clear. Okay. Then this freaking beautiful moment to me, my X-Men, and then everybody lines up behind him. Hello. I mean, and then of course the title treatment, fantastic. And then of course finally Okay, first of all, everybody is in there like they're playing softball garb from the Jim Lee. I think it's like X-Men number 4. I think it's the one where Omega Red was introduced. Jim Lee draws them like just like playing baseball. They're playing softball and this is basically what they were wearing. Now we got Morph back here. Morph is looking like he looked in the Age of Apocalypse, which is very cool. Love it. Storm's looking fantastic. Rogue has her little like torn shirt over the costume, which is very like Savage Land Rogue. You got Gambit shirtless looking all sexy, and of course Wolverine looking all sexy. Freaking Bishop looking all hot and awesome. Beast looking cool. Dude, Jean's got a baby. Hello. She's wearing a referee. We got Jubes over here. Oh my goodness. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my goodness. Oh my god goodness. Oh my goodness good. I mean, does it get better than this? It doesn't. It doesn't get better than this. Let's just be honest about that. Okay. And then we get the towel treatment. And then, of course, I mean, Magneto. I mean, come on, man. Like, here's Xavier's last will and testament, and he left everything to me. I mean, how fantastic is it? It doesn't go I love it. And it's like, is the will and testament made of metal? Like, how is he able to float it over to them? Anyway, people are talking about the way Magneto looks and the way he sounds. Like, I love it. I fucking love it. He looks so fucking awesome. I love it so much. Flames on the side of my face, burning with love for Magnus. Okay? Magneto. Okay? Eric Luncher. Okay? Hi. That's him right there. This is going to be so good. 10 episodes. They got to drop them on Saturday mornings. I have a feeling they will. I have a feeling they're going to drop them on Saturday mornings. So they're going to drop them on Saturday mornings, and we're going to get 10 episodes, and I'm going to watch every episode. I'm going to, of course, do a review of every episode, because come on. Like, how would I not do that? Of course I'm going to do that. After it airs, I'm going to get on my camera, and I'm going to talk all about every single episode, because I love this effing shite. All right, folks, thank you so much for checking out my video. Thanks for checking out my channel. If you haven't already, press subscribe. If you're on my Instagram page, go to my YouTube channel. It's linked in my profile. Click on subscribe. You want to check out these reviews I'm going to do. You don't want to miss them? You don't want to miss them? Look at his hair. How are you don't want to miss his hair? It's not even mine. It's a wig that costs like $10. You don't want to miss this. This is value. This is real value. All right. So make sure you subscribe, press like, leave me a little comment, tell me what you think about this trailer. How excited were you? How much did you cry? Are you willing to admit you cried? Huh? Huh? Or are you Mr. Toxic Masculinity? Oh, guys don't cry, really? Then why do we have tear ducts? Huh? Huh? Tell me! Tell me! Okay. I'm a little too excited, apparently. But, some might say I'm not excited enough. I mean, what did I just watch? I watched new footage from season 6 of X-Men the Animated Series, which they're calling X-Men 97, which I don't think they should have done. I'm going to be honest with that. I'm going to be honest about that. I think they should have just called it X-Men the Animated Series, and that's it. But it's cool. You got to differentiate things. Maybe it has something to do with contracts or money. If they do it this way, they don't have to pay Avi Arad, maybe. Avi Arad is this producer who oversaw stuff. He's not a terrible person, but creatively, his instincts down the toilet. Okay? Don't let that man have creative input into things. He can have business input into things. Okay, I'm going on a tangent. Thank you so much for checking out my channel. Thanks for checking out my video. Hope you enjoyed it. As always, I want to remind you that if you haven't already, you better put an X in the box because ain't nobody checking me. Ain't nobody checking me. Bye-bye, folks.